Okay, I'm going to start with a video. Most of you guys probably have seen something and know what this is all about. Others may not, but either way, it's going to be new for some of you. As long as it works.
Are you dealing with leaking, damaged, or old problem pipes? Then you need to watch this 3-minute presentation from Relining Technologies. Relining Technologies has an innovative and cost-effective way for you to repair underground pipelines without extensive excavation, disruption, and property damage. Trenchless technology, the better way to handle the repair and maintenance of underground pipelines. Relining, or CIPP, cured in place pipe, is the ideal solution to quickly resolve your pipeline problems. The process of rehabilitating pipes using relining was invented in England over 30 years ago. Manufactured by Easy Liner, the systems and materials we offer have been utilized to install over 10 million feet of relined pipe worldwide. The process is simple. After your customer places a call for service, your technician assesses the pipeline using a video inspection camera. Once it is determined that relining is the best option for correcting the problems, the line is thoroughly cleaned by high-pressure jetting to prepare it for the lining process. The repair is performed from a very small access pit at the property cleanout. After cleaning, the line is video inspected again to ensure that all debris has been sufficiently cleared. During this process, the length of the pipe to be repaired is recorded. The relining crew then measures out the exact amount of liner material required for the repair. On board the specially outfitted mobile lining rig, the crew mixes the resin that will be applied to the liner. The fully mixed resin formula is then poured into the liner and sent through an impregnator to ensure that the resin is evenly and thoroughly applied throughout the full length of the liner. Once the liner is fully impregnated with the resin, it is loaded into an air inversion tank. The tank is then moved to the access point, and the relining crew attaches the equipment to the existing pipe, and the liner is pushed into the damaged pipe by forced air. Once the liner has been fully placed, using the same equipment, an inflatable tube or bladder is inserted. Hot water is introduced to fill the bladder to create a tight form against the walls of the existing pipe. The bladder is left filled and in place until the liner cures, which is usually completed in about 1 hour or less. Once cured, the bladder is deflated and removed. The end of the liner is trimmed, and a post-lining video inspection is performed to ensure that the repair meets exacting quality control standards. After quality control is assured, the line is reconnected, the access hole is filled, and full service is returned to the property. The new relined pipe will now provide a minimum of 50 more years of service life. Before you dig and replace your next old or problematic line, find out if relining and trenchless technology is right for you. For more information, call Relining Technologies toll-free at 1-800-496.
Has anybody not seen this technology? There's one, two, I figured a couple of them. So, basically, I mean, that's just one of the options. We also have, there's another option that we have that isn't, oh, come on. We haven't, we'll have to go over that another time. But there's several ways to fix pipes in addition to the traditional method of digging it up and replacing it with a, I'm not really sure which one it was. Here we go. With a liner. So, I mean, you can do a traditional repair, dig it up, put in new, new pipe, or you can do the relining, and then we also have the trenchless technology, which we have here. And the trenchless technology, rather than putting a liner inside, for those who don't know, it's actually pulling another section of pipe, polyethylene pipe, all the way through the section of pipe that you want to replace. So you can even upsize a pipe. So if you have a 3-inch pipe, you want to go to 4-inch, you can do that a lot of times. It depends on the ground and everything else. But the reason that I want to bring this up is, first of all, we had our rep bring this out to us, and she basically, saying her name is Jennifer, and she's saying, hey, you guys haven't done work with us in a while, so on and so on, and it's something that sewers. There's a lot of money in sewers, and I'll just tell you that repairing sewers, especially when you use this technology. Well, I'll ask the question for those who do know, because Jesse, you've been around a little bit, Nick, in plumbing. When would you use this technology over a traditional repair?
You can't dig it up.
Okay, why couldn't you dig it up?
Say concrete, or is it price cost wise?
Okay, concrete would be, I would say the number one thing. Concrete's in the way, or the landscaping. They have really nice landscaping, palm trees.
Big old trees, yeah.
And now they have roots, right? So they got roots in there. They don't want to tear up their whole yard.
Yeah.
Most people are saying don't want to tear up their whole yard. I mean, they spend a lot of money on landscaping. So price isn't usually. I mean, this is usually, in my opinion, going to be as expensive or more expensive than a traditional dig up. Not counting the landscaping, okay? But when you take into all that consideration, that's how you kind of get more money for it. You say, well, yeah, if I dig it up and I can fix this section of pipe or these 3 sections of pipe that have roots in them, it's going to, not only is the digging going to be expensive because we're going to have to go through all those roots, which take a lot of time. If anybody's dug through roots before, it's not easy, So the labor is tremendously more, and you're ripping up their entire yard. So when they take into consideration that cost, you don't just say, oh, well, I can dig it up in this much time. I mean, it's a lot of work. And then they got to put it all back, and it's really difficult to make that match. If you're taking up grass, even if you're just taking up grass and you have a big tree here in the middle, you got to dig a trench in grass, it's very difficult to make that grass come back and look like it was before you started digging, right? It really is. So this type of technology is, the advantage of it, even over the trenchless technology, is in this technology, you typically only have to have, right where the clean out is where you have to dig a hole. Okay, you have to dig your access hole, 3 foot by 3 foot, 4 foot by 4 foot. You're going to dig that right there at the clean out. If there isn't a clean out, you put it close to the house, you put a clean out in. So now they're getting a clean out, two-way clean out, and they're going to get their pipe lined. That's going to basically seal up those cracks and holes that the roots put in. So now they have a nice flow. They're not going to get all the backups that they would get from the roots being in there. Because all that toilet paper and all that waste gets stuck on those roots. And then you have a backup, and now your house is overflowing with waste. So rather than doing that and having that issue, this technology is real simple by doing that one hole. Okay. The other technology that we have as far as the trenchless, which we have sitting back here and hasn't been used once since I've been here, that you have to have 2 holes. Okay, so the main difference is you're going to have a hole on one side and then the other side, and you're going to basically pull from one side to the other. And there's a second hole, so again, that's a little bit more digging, but that particular pipe, in my opinion, the stuff that we have, is actually even better than this. This option works for certain scenarios, especially when you have, something like roots. And I'm not sure if you have Orangeburg out here, Kevin. Do you guys have Orangeburg?
Occasionally.
Occasionally?
Laguna. Yeah.
Okay. So Orangeburg you can't use lining for. Okay. Orangeburg is a tar type of paper, and it's basically back in the World War II. They ended up putting that in because all of the steel and metal and everything else that they were using for pipe back then was being used to build ships, military stuff. So instead of using, the cast iron pipe, they started using Orangeburg, which ended up getting kind of squished. Basically it just kind of gets like an oval shape in it after time. It has all kinds of issues, and it tears and it rips, and roots can go through it, all the good things. You cannot use the CIP technology in Orangeburg. You have to use either a traditional, completely replace it, dig it up, or our technology will go through that Orangeburg in those cases and you'll have a nice round, solid polyethylene pipe.
The diameter will get smaller then.
No, the diameter does not get, oh, for the CIPP or for the polyethylene?
For the one that you're saying that you have to dig 2 holes.
No, on the polyethylene, the whole, you can make it bigger. So let's say you had a 3-inch pipe, you wanna make a 4-inch pipe, it basically tears through that pipe, especially Orangeburg, it'll tear through like butter. And then now you can have a 4-inch pipe in there.
The only
And it's
problem
gonna be round.
The only problem when you pull through Orangeburg is it tends to take off.
You have to be really careful, absolutely.
Oh.
Depends on the kind of ground you have. If you have concrete, it's not gonna take off as much as if you have dirt. Because concrete will keep the dirt down. But if you have a real soft dirt and you're going through Orangeburg, you gotta be really careful. It's imperative that you go slow, you take your time. Some guys have done that in the past. They start, oh, this is going through quick, pa, 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 and then all of a sudden your pipe does this. Now you're going up. Okay, so yeah, you have to know what you're doing, guys, and you know, you have to know what kind of pipe you're going through. You have to know all the different techniques that they're in there. So, you know, there are people that know how to do that. My understanding is Phil understands how to use this machine. He's really good at it, the one that we have. And that trenchless technology, it has its place too. It's just a second hole though, but you get a much better pipe. And I think, number one, it's seamless because you're basically fusing the pipe together. So those of you who know what fusing is, it's basically, you have a heater, you cut the 2 pieces of pipe come together, they basically get heated up, you pull the heater out, put them together, and they fuse. So it's better than glue, and that fused spot, they say, is 1.5 times stronger than the pipe itself. So I've never tested, I don't know what their testing methods are, but they say that bond is stronger than the actual pipe itself. So it's not going to break, crack, it's not going to get root intrusion anymore. You can have a pretty much seamless pipe, and you're not going to have those big edges that you get from gluing pipes together sometimes. You put in couplings and so on, right? So that's even a better technology. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because there's a money in sewers, and we need to try to get everything that we can. So as we're going out to these jobs, I've been looking on the invoices, and on the invoices a lot of times it says all the things we're going to do, including checking the sewer with the camera, right? So those are the types of things that we can take advantage of and say, hey, let's get the camera in the sewer. Once you get your channel leader out there, you get a camera in the sewer, and as part of our inspection, we're just making sure that they don't have any roots, and we don't want them to have backups. We're doing this for their benefit, but we're also doing it for our benefit. Because if we find something that we can take care of, big or small, we have options. So if we have to do a CIPP thing, we have an option of a purveyor that we use. We also have our own trenchless technology that we can do ourselves, and we can get Phil and Luciano out there, and they can do that. They have the jetter, all that stuff can be done with us. So it's kind of in a way a flip, but it's a nice way of making some extra money for all of us. Okay, so I kind of wanted to throw that out today to start with. That's the first thing. Anybody have any questions on the CIPP or the trenchless? I mean, it's pretty.
Well, for my last company, we used to sub them out, and they will come and do it, but it cost a lot for the CIP thing.
Yes, there's obviously a cost in the CIPP, and we mark everything up so that we can make money on it as well. I'm not gonna lie there. That's what it is. But it's usually, for the customer, and that's what I'm going to talk about Green Sky next, it's something that they're normally going to want to finance, because it's not something that's going to be a couple $1,000. I mean, it's going to be pretty expensive, depending on the length of the line. So the reason it's expensive is because we got to make money too on it. We're not going to make a whole lot, but we're going to make some money on it. They're going to make some money on it, but again, we're taking care of our client, and we're giving them an option of not ripping out their yard. That's usually the most important part for the customers, or their driveway. A lot of times the sewer, I clean outs in my old house, clean out was in the garage. Right in the middle of the garage, right as soon as you open the door, there it was, right in the front. Went right down my driveway, kind of at a little bit of an angle, and then to the curb, right? So right before the curb, I had another clean out. But, I mean, if I got to rip up my driveway, that's crazy, right? Very expensive, because concrete itself is expensive, and it'll never look the same unless you replace the whole thing. So how many people want to rip up their driveway? Again, so these are things that we can sell to people when it gets to that point where there's not a lot of options for them. And yes, it's going to be expensive, but so that's just the way it is.
Well, and the concrete gets even more expensive now, because a lot of old driveways were only a 4-inch thick slab pour.
Yeah.
And they didn't have enough rebar or anything like that. A lot of the new California earthquake code requirements, they're changing how everything has to be done. So now you're talking a 6-inch slab with 3/8 rebar running all throughout it with a 6-inch landing for the city. The
Yeah.
city's approach has to be 6 inches now, so.
And I think it depends on, where you live too. I mean, obviously, every city has its own little codes.
Yeah, I'm only speaking mostly on like LA and San Diego, because that's where my previous company did most of their work, so. And they're kind of pickier.
I know that Vista is still 4-inch, at least it
Okay.
was a couple of years ago. I don't know about San Diego itself, but Vista was because I had my house was under warranty, thank God, under the 10-year warranty, but my main water line, was kind of done janky. I couldn't believe how they did it. But anyways, it broke underneath my driveway, and they had to jackhammer the whole thing up. It was a flipping mess. But what I made them do, because it was a new house, is replace the entire driveway. And the reason I did that is my driveway was stamped. And they would never in a million years could they've ever made that right again. But if I had to pay for that myself, it's 25 grand. That's how expensive it would have been to
For a
take it
20
all
by
out,
25
put it
grand.
all back, make it all stamped and pretty. You know, I'm glad I had insurance on it, or that it was under warranty. All right, so, but you think about a customer having to spend 25 grand, we can do this whole technology maybe for 10. And then we finance it over time. So yeah, 10,000 is a lot of money, but depending on what we're talking about here, it can save you, that's half or less, right? It could be a third. So these are the finance plans that we have for Green Sky. So when you go into your iPad now, there was a time since I got here when we switched everything from Ben to, Kalka Plumbing. Green Sky button wasn't showing up on your iPads. It should show up now, okay? So you have that option like you were before. For those of you who have used it, you should be able to go in. These are the finance plans that we're going to offer. And I'm doing this based on this, and I want everyone to understand this, this whole financing thing, because this is the financing that if anything other than a credit card, we're not going to charge you for credit cards, because to me that's kind of part of doing business. But if we're going to finance it, where it's going to cost us a lot of extra money, all right, that's going to go in as a cost, and you guys are going to pay your portion of that out of your service volume. So I want you to understand that now, so that we don't have anybody saying, oh, well, I didn't know I was going to have to pay for service. Because when you go into your bid calculator, there's a place in there you can put in whatever financing there is. So that way you're charging the customer for it. So I want to make sure that you guys understand, if you have a big job, what I'd like you to do is automatically put in, and the highest one that we have is 4.75%, okay? So on Green Sky, that's what we're offering. And that one's going to be it's a reduced rate APR, 10.99%, and then that goes up to 120 months. So if they qualify for that, that's the highest we're going to do. The rest of them are going to be 2.5%, 4.5%, whatever, 3.5%. So we're offering, the first one we're offering is basically for a 96-month term. Okay, so that's going to be cost you 1.25%, or we're actually kind of splitting it, but because it's only coming off service volume, right? So it's only going to be part of it. But you're going to put that 1.25% in. So when you go into your bid calculator, if you're doing a large job that you think could be financed, it's better to put that in, put your finance charge in there first, assuming you may have one. Put a couple percent in there, 2, 3, 4, depending on what we're talking about. Then, if they decide to pay with cash or check, we can just remove that. And then that's their discount, right? So that's just kind of I want you guys to think of that way when you're giving bids out. If you have something that's 10, 15, 20, especially when we're getting into the busy season coming up for HVAC, you have a lot of higher ticket items. So if someone may be financing, let's try to put in there, assuming that they're going to finance, and then if they don't, cool, save some money. Right? If you want to pay with cash or check, I can give you this, save you, a couple percentage points. And on 10 grand or 20 grand, that's a lot of money. So, but again, these are the plans, so let me just kind of, the first one like I said, it's a 9.99% interest rate for a 96-month term. The second one, we do have a 6-month no interest, no pay, so no payments. That means they have 6 months with no interest and no payments, but then they still have to, basically the way that works, this is the interest rate, but somewhere, depending on their credit worthiness, between almost 18% and 27%, depending on their credit, that goes to 84 months. And that costs us 3.5%. There's a 6 months interest with payments, same type of terms. The only difference is you have payments, and it'll be a minimum payment. And the payment factor is 1.5 to 2.18% of the balance, depending on their credit worthiness, okay? So we wouldn't know that until they qualify and all that good stuff. But that goes for 84 months, and that costs us 2.25. We have a 12 months no interest with payments, okay? And it has the same percentage rate. So basically this percentage rate, once you get to, whenever it has a percentage rate, APR, that means in the 12 months period, if they decide, let's say on this one, if they decide in 12 months, this is with payments. So they're gonna have a minimum of payment, which is gonna be somewhere between this 1.5 and 2.28% of their balance, all right? But if they don't, once they get beyond that point, now the interest rate on everything, the balance is gonna be that, somewhere between there. That's the APR. Does that make sense? So then we have, this one here is just reduced rate at 11.99% APR, 84 months. And then we also have this one at 10.99 at 120 months at 10.99. So there's, basically all I was able to put in, we only have a certain amount, these 6 items is all I can put in at a time. And we're basically trying to keep the cost down for you and for us. So I went to the lower cost factors on all of those and still I want to be able to give a 12-month and a 6-month no interest, some with payments, some without payments, because some people say, hey, I'd rather not. I got taxes coming, I got a bonus coming, I got something else coming, I don't want to pay any payments right now. Okay, well, we have the 6 months.
And what's the payment window on those ones?
This right here where it says payment factor, that's the payment.
Well, the payment window, because there's 4-month program and there's 6-month program.
Right?
So the 4-month program allows purchasing and add-ons for 4 months.
Yeah, they're all, every one of these, from my understanding, are all the same as far as a 4-month window.
Okay. I just
So,
want to know what option.
So you have 4 months, they have 4 months, whatever their balance, whatever they get approved on, they have 4 months to add. So that's when you would do a project, for an example, right? So you can say, okay, you're approved for 25 grand, whatever it is. All right, well, you have 4 months to be able to add different jobs into that money.
Like you do a water heater inspection a month later, you find out, hey, they need a water heater.
Exactly.
Now you can add that into the financing they've already been approved for.
Right. So anybody have any questions on this? I mean, it's pretty simple. I just want to let you know that because I had to update it into the system to make sure that the plumbing side could get on it. HVAC side was able to get in it, but the plumbing side for some reason wasn't able to get in because we changed from then. So I fixed that, and then I went over these and made sure that we have, some decent things to offer our customers. So now that I've gone over this, so tell me, how do we, when you guys are going to a call, and I know Kevin can answer this because I've heard him kind of talk about it a little bit, but how do you go in, Nick, when you're going to go to a customer and offer financing? What is your process of doing that? Because I know you sell a lot of stuff and a lot of your jobs. So do you use this kind of thing very often?
I've used it once in the past here recently, but I try to just figure out how they're gonna pay. Yeah.
Okay.
Politely.
Okay. So so role play with me. I mean, okay, so I'm the customer. My job is 12 grand.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of shocked about what's going on with the money here, and so I come up to you and I say, I don't know how I'm going to pay for that. That's a lot of money.
So I just basically I offer financing. So we do have financing. We can take a look into that.
Okay. So keep going. I mean, you're going to offer it to me. Play with me here. What kind of how are we gonna do financing? I mean, what kind of financing do you have?
Green sky.
Well, my sky's blue, but help me out here.
Mine's green.
What is green? What is green sky gonna do for me? What can you offer me?
Well, you just go through the thing and just show them what offers we have. I think there was 2 at the time that we had that 0 for 6 months or 8 months or whatever it is, and then the other option, they can pick which one they want.
Okay. All right, so let me,
I don't really-
I'm gonna help you out a little bit. I'm not trying to throw you under the bus here and roll over you a little bit, but, put you on the spot. But here's what I'm kinda trying to get at. Customers like to hear a dollar amount, like a monthly payment, right? They really like to have options. So what you can do a lot of times is you can figure out on one of these plans, say if you get approved, they can go as low as X per month, right? So if we're gonna go for one of these plans, I mean, you can look and say, and then you can say, so we can choose the plans. We have a couple of different plans I can offer you. We have 6 different plans, from 0% interest for 6 months up to 12 months. We even have that, some with payments, some without payments. But I can bring your payment down to, $122 a month. How does that sound?
Yeah, or you can just pay nothing for 8 months and.
Right. I mean, so the thing is if you're giving them options and saying, and that's a no interest thing, as long as you make your payments for 12 months, and you pay it off, then you're
You're off free.
exactly. So I guess I want you guys to understand that just offering financing as the words, well, we have financing, it's not nearly as powerful as giving them numbers. Giving them a number for the month, or for, how much can you afford a month? Asking that question. So, hey, I can probably afford a couple $100 a month, and that's about it. Well, what if I could tell you that I can get all of this done, and by the way, your water heater needs to be changed out, I can do that as well. And I can throw all that in, and we can get this done over this plan, and we can go up to 84, 120 months. I mean, just think about 120 months. That's gonna be on something like an air conditioning unit, right?
Yeah, when you have it set up like that, you can definitely pitch that.
On-
But before, no.
Yeah.
Like, we didn't have that way of looking at it, really.
No, I had to have the sheet. And I-
Yeah.
Right.
That was I
had to pick through the sea of plans.
Bullshit, when they get their shit, it's like, they're like, $250 a month.
Yeah, so I'm
Can't
just,
tell somebody what they're
if you know what the
doing.
plans are, then, and if you don't, get a copy of the sheet, bring it with you, you can know what the plans that we have, highlight them, and say, hey, okay, these are the plans we have. You can figure it out pretty easily, especially when it's no interest, right? It's no interest for 12 months, you can figure that out. Now, the ones that'll be harder to figure out are gonna be the ones that have an actual percentage, but that's something that you can actually call Green Sky, and they can give you that information. So here's the dollar amount, can you give me what the payments would be? Then you can go to the customer and do that. So there's all kinds of options. I don't want you giving customers improper information, but if it's something for the 12 months thing, or something that's pretty easy to figure out, there's no interest on it, it's really easy to figure out.
I think they want, before they tell you they can do anything or any kind of payments, they want them to get approved, so you'd have to have
Right.
that, so it's kinda like calling them before the fact that they're approved is getting your chin too far into their, because
But
then
here's what I'm trying to say. I hear where you're coming from, and you're right. You don't want, they may not give you all the information, but what you can do is, for an example, tell the customer up front before you even, because they're not gonna just start filling stuff out before you talk to them about it.
Right.
Well, let me see, if you qualify, you can even say that, if you qualify for the financing, we can get your payment as low as this. I'm not sure what you're qualified for, but let's give it a shot, man. Let's give it a shot, let's see what the customer fills it out, we'll see what programs they're eligible for, and then we can go from there. But you wanna try to give them a number as low as, this per month. You see those advertisements all the time, and in magazines I get them, and the home magazines, and it says, repipe your house, for your entire house for $108 a month. Well, it's probably for 120 months, but I mean, when you look at that, it's kind of enticing. It's like, wow, that's not that bad.
So it could be longer.
You know what I mean? So it's just a way of saying, hey, I don't know if you're going to qualify for that or not, but we can get you, we may be able to get your payments down as low as
$60.
whatever it is, right? So that's just something I want you guys to keep in mind, because as we going through this, I was going through the numbers yesterday. Last year, what we did in plumbing and heating and air throughout the entire, it was really hard because since we changed companies, we don't have the Ben anymore. We have a different business, model or whatever. So it's kind of hard to see exactly, but I understand that we weren't doing a lot of installs for HVAC last year. Is that right, Kevin? You guys didn't do, you kind of stopped that. So when I was going through the calls, for an example, we do 360 calls in one particular month, and then I'd go and say, okay, well, how many were no-goes or $0 calls? We had a lot of them. Over half were $0 calls. So, which means we weren't closing very much. So, when we have, and there's another channel leader that I've been talking to, a potential channel leader, as well as we have Kevin, and then hopefully for the plumbing side we'll have Sarah doing just that. But when we're doing all of that, hopefully with having salespeople that'll be going to calls and closing things, we'll actually have a higher closing rate because we'll have, rather than the plumbers or the techs trying to close their own stuff, we'll have people doing it themselves. So I'm hoping that if we get the same amount of calls based on what we're trying to do for marketing and all of that, we can close more. We'll be extremely busy and all of us making more money. But I want to have this as an option and keep this in your guys' minds now to think about using financing if you need to. Okay? Make sense? No questions? Everybody's got this blank stare on your face like,
Well,
sure,
for-
okay.
For figuring out the payments, you would just multiply your total by the payment factor and
Right.
then divide it by the months.
Right, exactly.
And that's usually a good enough baseline. Kevin taught me this, I think it was last summer. When you're trying to sell them an install that's like $8, $10, $12,000, already have one of those numbers in your hand. Because when you hit someone with 10,700, you might damn near kill them.
Ask yourselves a question. How many of you guys would rather hear, how many would you rather hear, okay, so the unit that I'm gonna need, the cost of the unit to replace, you know, your unit, whatever it is, if it's water heater, tankless, and a whole bunch of other stuff, or if it's an HVAC system, how many of you would you rather hear, that's gonna be $15,000 or $150 a month?
$150 a month doesn't knock you off your feet as much.
That lower dollar amount that you're talking about, even though it's a monthly thing, you start thinking in your head, can I afford $150 a month? But when you're talking 15 grand, now you're going, holy crap, where am I gonna get that from? You know? Do I gotta take out a loan? Nah, I don't wanna take out a loan. You don't even think about that $150 number. You're just thinking about the 15 grand. So it makes a huge difference when you're going to a customer and talking to them about financing. You wanna try to have that lower monthly payment if you can. Okay? You want anything to add, Kevin?
Yeah, just, you know, the payment factor, I always go in with the 1.73. And we could go lower than that, but it costs a lot. But you multiply your number by 1.73, and I did that with my sister-in-law. And she was shocked because she went through Green Sky and when she called them up, she says, right to the penny, it was the exact amount you said it was gonna be. And then they offered her longer terms and a lower monthly. They started offering her other things because she had, you know, pristine credit. You know, but you know those multiplier factors are exact. You know, that's going to be the exact number. Now, providing you qualify for this program, this is what your payment would be. You always want to qualify it, or providing the amount doesn't change, this is what, you know, the payment would be. I always kind of leave a little bit of wiggle room, just because if it's a few bucks off or whatever reason, you know,
And then I did have another question. What other financing are we using? Are we using Synchrony? Are we using another one for? Because I know we had talked about there was one that would finance down to like 500 for like bad credit for repairs.
Is that Aqua? Is that who you
we
guys
need to find somebody who does crap credit. I'll talk to Thomas, and see if they've got a company they're using for credit reject.
Yeah, because I mean, especially if they can go lower on the actual loan amount, because some of our repairs, you know, on HVAC side are 1,500, and that Green Sky's not going to want to touch a $1,500 loan.
Yeah, they do, they go up to
They do?
1,000.
Oh, they'll go to 2. Okay.
$1,000 is, I think, their entry. Yeah,
That's
so,
good enough.
yeah.
But
And I mean, I can look into it too. I can think of a company, Aqua something. There was one that we've used in the past that was. They said, you know, they did lower credit, but they didn't just give it to anybody. It wasn't like a for sure thing. So a lot of times, if they kind of wanted to be used first or tried first, and so if you just did Green Sky, and then you went to Aqua, and a lot of times that didn't go through, but if you have another option from Thomas or whatever, that's fine, I'll look into it. Just give me the information.
Yeah, just, like you said, we're coming into summer season. I mean, on the AC side, it's gonna be compressors, coils, condensing units.
Yeah, we need to get Sean out here too, just to,
From
do a
Y-Grain,
training.
is he Y-Grain or a Hero?
Case.
Well, PACE, those are both PACE programs.
I don't know quite who he's with, to be honest.
I think he's wiring.
Alright, I'll find out. Alright, guys, that's it. Happy Friday. Let's get our stuff done today, get it knocked out, collect as much as we can, and move on.
Joe, that 1.73%, that's based on how many